Trump statement, or is that real?
The kidney has a very special place in the heart. It's an incredible thing. God bless the United States.
What's happening, guys? What do you say we just hop right into it once again? Welcome back to the Blunt Politics. Yeah, the Blunt Politics. It's one of those things. It's the Blunt Politics podcast. One of these days I'll get it right. It's almost like I've been doing it for a few years, and I probably should know it by this point. But what are you going to do? Sometimes the lips work, sometimes they don't. But make sure you hit that like button on the way in. Thank you guys for joining me. We got a lot to cover for tonight. Before we do, what do you say we say hi to the chat while my lips are still working? Mad Mac, what's going on? Royum Slava to you, my friend. What's up, Laney? What's going on, everybody on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, the whole 9 yards? Make sure you guys are hitting the like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to 20,000 subscribers. We're on our way to 1,000 members. We're trying to grow this channel a day at a time, one member at a time, one subscriber at a time, and I hope we're doing a good job at doing that. Appreciate you mods for keeping that chat a safe place as usual. What's up, Luis? What's up, Roxanne? What's up, Pam? What's going on, guys? What's up, Karen? How are you? What's up, Alvin? What's going on, Pam, Allie? How are you, Laura, James? Appreciate you guys for always being back and excited and aggressive, as always, as I like my chat to stay. Just always stay aggressive, head on a swivel, ready to go, and at a moment's notice. What's up, Jonathan? How are you? Heroyam Slava to you, my friend. Appreciate you being here. What's up, Epstein Files? What's going on? Thank you. What's up, Jen? What's going on? Thank you so much for your assistance in the chat. What's going on to, what does that say? Mogwa Crony? Mogwa. Well, thank you to you. Appreciate it for the engagement. What's up, Laurie? What's up, Shirley? I appreciate it. Evie's on. What's going on? Good to see you. What's up, Carol? Thank you for starting it off in the right way. I do appreciate that. There's a lot of other ways in which you guys can join Carol here and contribute into the show. There's a Venmo up in the corner. Buck or two is all I ask for. You can sign up at patreon.com or for a YouTube membership just underneath me. Goes a long way in helping the channel. It really does. We hide nothing behind a paywall. There's no ads, no financial backers of the show. So, we don't charge for Substack, no content behind a paywall, nothing like that. So the show keeps running because of your financial, generosity and appreciation for the show. So hopefully we can keep it going. Thank you, Carol, for starting it off tonight. What's going on, Dyslexic Fingers? What's up, Pat? What's up, Bethany? What's up, Jennifer? Appreciate you guys. Sparklers in the house. What's going on? I do appreciate you guys. I really do. Hopefully you guys caught me this morning on with Hal. Another fabulous conversation. If not, make sure you go check back today's early show. So what do you say we get into just a few of the things we'll be talking about and covering tonight? We got some fuck around and find out moments. We'll also be talking, well, I guess we got two fuck around and find out moments. We got a kind of a double dose. I know some have strong opinions and feelings and others don't. Let me see if I can throw this on the screen for you guys. What's the first one? No, this one's the first one. We got a double dose of Kyle coming up. We're not going to go through, obviously, like we always do, just a couple of the videos. This one is talking about the MAGA man assault that I'm sure you guys may be aware about, the man that was basically charging after school kids. Got out of his truck with his MAGA hat and just started assaulting school kids, then decided to shave off all his hair, then decided to shave off his mustache to try to blend in so he wouldn't get caught. Well, yeah, he's been arrested. So we're going to be diving into a little bit of that fuck around and find out moment. And obviously the another fuck around and find out moment that Kyle just happens to be covering. Again, I don't write it this way. I don't draw it up this way. I don't look to do multiple videos from the same person. But Nicki Minaj getting played by Donald Trump and Donald Trump's gold card after simping so fucking hard, after just going full throttle on sucking Donald Trump's fucking boots. Like, it is just another chef's kiss, beautiful moment that we do have to take a look at. It'd be a shame if we didn't, again, take these, moments where they come, these victories where they come. So we'll be taking a look at that, obviously. And then I wanted to take a look at this Breaking Points video, which kind of really strikes home at the matter of like what's behind the intent of the ICE agents that we're kind of seeing run around and brutalize the people on the streets. This was, I believe, from yesterday. In one of the incidents, the victim was testifying in front of Congress, and they were displaying some of the text messages that were retrieved from some of the ICE agents involved in the shooting. And to say that they are disturbing would be, I believe, a severe understatement. To say that it kind of goes right to the heart of the matter and showing again the intent, the lack of professionalism, the lack of training, the almost psychosis of the people that do raise their hand and say, yes, you know what, I will fucking go strap on a gun and I will go brutalize my fucking fellow American citizens. That's what I will do. So we're kind of getting a little insight into that, and Breaking Points just happens to cover it. And then, oh boy, there's about a minute or two, I'd say probably 3, okay, maybe 4 minutes at the most that we'll be diving into this, because JD Vance sat down with Megyn Kelly, and he kind of, well, they both reference a moment that we were talking about on this morning's episode, in which Donald Trump was, just being incredibly nasty and demeaning and misogynistic towards Caitlin Collins, and again, just being completely dismissive of the, the victims of the Epstein files, completely dismissive of the evidence and the, 38,000 plus times his name was mentioned. And, just the cold-natured, callous, really fucking not reading the room type of way that JD Vance decides to describe that moment is something that I wanted to kind of dive into. And again, it's not long or drawn out section of this interview that they did. We don't have to dive into much. If you want to, if it's interesting, because it seems like they talk about deportations, Greenland, Don Lemon, and a few other things, and I've only seen about a minute and a half, and I figured it'd be good for us to cover together. So we'll be diving into that a little bit as well. And then this morning we didn't get to dive into this. We didn't get to cover this. So, hopefully we allow ourselves some time, because I want to hear what Joy Reid, Jim Acosta, and Mehdi think about, again, the state of our free press, the state of independent journalism, obviously the dangers that it's now under, and kind of, where the fucking alarm bell should be, right? Where, like, how high should the fucking threat level be at this point? So again, hopefully we leave enough time to dive into that. And then we have another section from a video that we were talking about this morning, where Donald Trump basically doubles down again, in which he, on with Dan Bongino, said that the Republicans should be nationalizing the voting, again talking about Republicans taking over voting. So it kind of goes right in line with what we were speaking about today. And then we have a few videos talking about Ukraine, obviously, as we talked about this morning. We got this one from NBC News detailing the latest attacks on Ukrainians' energy infrastructure, detailing it as a continued war crime, leaving people with no energy, no heat, in freezing cold temperatures, clearly taking out retribution on the citizenry of Ukraine, as opposed to military targets like the Ukrainians are and have been striking since this war started. We'll also be diving into this Kaylin Robertson video detailing that exact thing we were just mentioning, the situation and the conditions in Kyiv right now, and why the situation is extremely dire. And then, speaking of dire situations, we'll be talking about not only the latest tactic change from Ukraine, basically learning, I wouldn't say learning from the Russians, but kind of, going toe to toe in combating the tactics that the Russians have kind of tried lately. They've been doing this instead of large scale assaults, instead of these mass armored attacks, they've been doing kind of like 4, 5, and 6 man assaults, if you will, when they're trying to just basically sneak through the enemy lines, get as many of these people through. If 1 or 2 makes it, great. Then they kind of hunker down in a position until, again, days, weeks, and even months in some cases, as you'll hear in these videos, goes by until enough Russian troops make it through, in which they can start, conducting assaults or directing artillery, directing drones, basically being the upfront troops. So we'll be taking a look at how Ukraine is combating those tactics and basically using the same type of tactics against Russia. And then obviously something that we haven't looked at in a while, in probably a couple weeks, is the situation in and around Pokrovsk. I got the deep state map up. I got the Syriac map up. So we'll be taking a look at the difference between the two and what's been taking place around there, and just how, again, little fucking territory is being gained when, the assaults haven't stopped by Russia. Obviously the attacks, the missile and drone attacks, in the western areas of the country, in Kyiv and in other areas, haven't stopped. But that, you know, they're losing men consistently at the same rate, but it's just they're just not making headway. You know what I mean? They're gaining territory. That's not what I'm trying to get across. It's just the amount of troops that they're losing, the amount of equipment that they're losing, and the amount of time it's taking them. Again, it's just, this has been kind of the theme, the running theme in this whole full-scale invasion, barring the first, you know, couple weeks of the full-scale invasion. After that, it was basically, you know, a war of attrition at that point. It became quickly a war of attrition and, you know, just the most brutal fights for the smallest amount of territory. And that just goes to show you how strong the Ukrainian military still is at this point. And again, I still think that every day that passes, the Ukrainian military gains an edge, gets a little bit stronger, and the Russians get a little bit weaker, even if it's incremental, even if it's not noticeable to a certain aspect daily. I do think that, you know, with the amount of time that this war is lasting, that we will start to see even the smallest amount of benefit coming from, you know, the ongoing just strife that the Russian military is facing, and the amount of people they're throwing into the meat grinder, the amount of fucking, you know, factories and people in Russia that are working towards this war effort. You know, we'll go into it. I don't want to get too deep into it yet, but let's take a look at MAGA Man. All right, let's take a look at this guy. And again, just to kind of set the stage on this first kind of clip we'll be taking a look at, if you didn't see it, it's a clip that's made its way throughout the news, throughout social media, of a man charged with assault after fighting during a student-led protest. Basically, he got his fifis hurt, didn't like that the kids were protesting ICE, decided to take it upon himself to exit his vehicle and start immediately assaulting these students. And then Greg Abbott immediately started attacking the students and saying that the students' school should be defunded. Again, we'll talk about it, but Kyle goes into it pretty well here. I just want to dive into a few minutes of this just again to get the old FAFO situation, fuck around and find out moment out of the way when he gets arrested. And again, look at the change of the guy. Now, if this isn't the most obvious case of, okay, I tried not to get caught, right? The guy's fucking, when he committed the crimes, got long hair, he's got a mustache, right? When he gets arrested, he looks like he turned himself into a skinhead to try to not get caught. It's like, okay, buddy, that's not helping you, cuz. All right, there we go. Here's Kyle Kulinski with the update. Hit that like button. Again, I'm Boston Bryant. This is the Blunt Politics Podcast. I really do appreciate you guys joining me. Thanks again to the best chat on the internet, and thank you again to the best mods on the internet. Let's rock and roll, and let's get into it.
You know, guys, there are certain times in life where the only correct reaction is to say FAFO. Fuck around, find out. And this is just mwah, chef's kiss. Beautiful example of FAFO for everybody. This was in Kyle, Texas. And here you have a grown man Trump supporter decides to get out of his truck and assault a high school girl, all because the high school girl and this group of high school kids is engaged in an anti-ICE protest. So in other words, you have young kids using their First Amendment rights to try to improve the country, and a fully grown MAGA man does the following. So look at this. A Trump supporter in a MAGA hat physically attacked a teenage girl at a student anti-ICE protest without provocation, according to eyewitnesses. Quote, he went straight to attack the girl. Other high school-age student protesters fought back.
The Alpha crew. These are the alpha men. These are the people that are like, you know, oh man, fucking fuck around and find out all the time. I'm in the gym, baby. Like I smack around my wife when I get pissed off. Don't get a couple beers in me and let my football team lose. My fucking wife's going to have 2 black eyes for a week and she going to love it. Like these are the same people that, you know, again, say they're protecting children and are against child sex trafficking, yet won't call out the most obvious and fucking blatant examples of people that have committed those crimes that are now running our country, that are now in. Anyway, we'll go back into that. I'm sure there's going to be enough to cover on that one. But again, this asshole just immediately decides to get out and start assaulting not only high school kids, but high school girls, right? So he goes on here, and we'll talk about how he pays the price.
Forcing him to retreat to his truck. So this did not, he instantly regretted this, because watch what ends up happening.
So again, that's just to kind of set the stage, just in case anybody's just listening right now. You're watching this guy fully attack, full out attack, full out push, punch, you know, in a full out fight with a high school girl. And the high school girl is doing pretty fucking well. Did she end up falling back? Yes. But I mean, what do you expect with this guy who's much bigger, much larger, much heavier? She got a couple punches in there right at the beginning. You see that? You see the fucking right at the beginning? I'll give her credit where credit is due. Let's check out these couple shots she's taking. She's not fucking, look at that. Let's go. She's not fucking, I love it. I love it. She ain't taking that shit. She's kicking. She's got her friends around too.
Oh,
Big up, big ups to this high school, not only for what they're doing out there protesting ICE, but fucking even more so for sticking up for their fellow student, right? Not fucking running away, not videotaping it. I mean, obviously it's on videotape, but I'm sure, we can obviously see to a large extent people are obviously getting hands-on physical, trying to fucking save, obviously this girl that they either know or don't know in this situation. But, a lot of respect to these people. I just got to say, if that guy had fucking somehow managed to wind up on a street where it was my high school, there's a fucking literal 0% chance he's making it back to his truck. Zero. It's not happening. It's the last time he's going to see that truck again. It's over at that point. And again, not to diminish anything taking place here. Awesome. Love everything that took place in defending not only themselves, but obviously their fellow student. In this case, I just had to point out that it would have ended differently. It would have ended differently. That's all I'm gonna say. Hey, you want
God damn.
Now look at him.
So
look at him. Okay, so I want to go back to where he's sitting in the truck and looking, right? Let's see if we can kind of fast forward just a touch here. Because you get a good shot of him sitting in the truck. Right? Let me see if I can play it. All right, All right, look at him in the truck, right? So he's got long hair. Well, I wouldn't call it long hair, but, considering what we're about to see, what he has for hair, this is very long hair. But, he's definitely got some hair in his head, looking like a very Adolf cut. I'm not going to lie. It's definitely Adolf-esque haircut. Would you say? Would you guys agree in the chat? I mean, that's kind of a spot on almost, and the mustache too. Oh, boy. Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, this is what he looked like during the time of the attack. And now just keep that in mind, and we'll go on and pay attention to what he looked like at the time of his arrest.
Goddamn. So here, I'm going to let it play in the background while I comment here, but it beelines right for her, starts trying to beat up a high school girl. And I have to say, man, shout out to all the other protesters there.
True.
Because they did not hesitate even a split second. They sprung right into action. And I swear, you had like 10 of these kids jump right on this dude and say, what the fuck are you doing? You better stop it. And they start swinging back. They start defending her. And this story does end in a positive way because he was arrested. This guy shaved his head to try to not look like himself, right? So he immediately shaved his head, and they still found him. They still arrested him, and he's nearly...
He's sitting in his truck right there with mad cameras around. You think they didn't get his plate? he's like, did he honestly think he was going to get away with this? Again, this is almost like this is what we mean when like the dumbest of the dumb are now left supporting MAGA. Like the fucking we're down to like the bottom of the barrel here that we're facing. Like definitely not the brightest motherfuckers ever to fucking grace this planet. But did he think he was going to go like more than there's got to be 1,000 kids there. Let's just say 500 to be safe. Every single goddamn one of them got a cell phone, right? Every single goddamn one of them got a cell phone. Definitely got that bastard's plate as he left. And he honestly thought, I'm going to shave all of my hair off and my mustache, and that should be good. Let me go back out in the same truck. They'll never get me. They're just not the brightest bulbs, are they? I mean, that's just another thing that we have to realize. Just we're not dealing with a lot of people that are playing with a full deck. Okay, just a couple home fries short of a full breakfast. You know what I mean?
He might actually even be crying in his picture that he had to take. The reason we're talking about this story is because this is them. This is who they are. Their whole, like, think about their whole political philosophy. Their political philosophy is like, fuck women, fuck gay people, fuck trans people, fuck black people, fuck immigrants, fuck the minorities. So in other words, they take the groups of people that, relatively speaking, have a rougher go of it, and they try to make it seem like they're the almighty, they're the powerful, they're the ones with their boot on the white man's neck. And so
yeah, it's the punch down theory. We've been dealing with this for a long time, right? Instead of punching up, which is, you know, typically historically what, you know, you're supposed to do, right? Because, you know, you don't punch down at people that are less fortunate, don't have the, you know, similar circumstances, didn't have the opportunities, right? Are pressed and fucking being, diminished themselves by other groups. That's just, you're supposed to punch up to people that have the power, that have the money, and aren't doing the right thing, to the politicians, to the CEOs, to the billionaires, to the fucking corporate finance people, to the healthcare and insurance companies. That's punching up, you know what I mean? Trying to get people better healthcare, trying to get people sufficient housing, trying to get people, fair pay so that they don't have to, decide whether or not they're going to have this, incredibly important procedure or not, because, you know, insurance only covers this much and they're responsible for that much. And you know how the fucking bullshit rigmarole goes. It's crazy. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It just, it bothers me the whole time to think that, like, I don't know. You know what I mean? I'll get too deep into it.
They invert the power dynamic, right? And that's what he did here. So here he is, a grown man in his truck, watching protesters stand up against ICE fascism. And he goes, I gotta attack this high school girl. Like, on what earth does that seem like a good idea? On what earth can you convince yourself that you're the good guy if you attack a high school girl?
Because the last of the MAGA chuds are exactly what we just saw represented by this asshole. They're just, again, not the brightest bulbs. They're the bottom of the barrel. They are the most sycophantic. They are the most bigoted. They are the most racist. They are the most transphobic. They are the most hated. Like, they have the most hatred in their soul. These are the people that are left. You have to understand that. The people still willing to be on the side of the fucking guy listed 38,000 plus times in the Epstein files, right? Having his name mentioned in even a fraction, even one of those allegations should be enough for you to be like, done, gun, shut the, not gun, but a little Freudian slip on that one, but, you know, shut the fucking case, shut the book. It's over on that one. You know what I mean? I'll apologize to the ends of the earth, to the people that I've shunned out of my life that were trying to tell me this for the last fucking 10 years. I'd rather do that than defend, you know, the pedophile protecting crew. That's just the way that, you know, a normal person coming out of this, you would expect them to act, you know what I mean? But there's another one of these situations. Oh, let's go on to where he gets arrested. Let's at least see where he gets arrested. My apologies.
Right? And it's because, like I said, they invert their morality. They invert the dynamic, the oppressor-oppressed dynamic. And so now a grown-ass man somehow is the victim. And the perpetrator is the person using their First Amendment rights to try to fix this country and make it better and stand up and fight back against ICE fascism. So understand something, bro. This is who these people are. This is who these people are. And the way you defeat these motherfuckers is you punch the bully right back in the fucking mouth. And that's what this group of high school kids did, who jumped right in and defended that girl. Right? But
I second that motion of being able to punch bullies back, punch them in the mouth. Again, the best laid plans go to shit the second you're fucking punched in the mouth. So there's no better way to foil that fucking bully's plan than to punch him in the mouth. Sorry, that's just what I.
This is what you need to understand.
Continue to preach and teach.
Understand is they will always continue to pick on the little guy.
Let's go ahead. I know we got, just for the sake of time, Kai, he does a good job at covering this and talking about it. But I don't want to go on to where he gets rounded up if I can.
I get to do whatever I want with you, and you don't get to react. So homie got fucked up, and yeah, I think he's going to be going to prison for a long time, though. I really do. I don't think they're taking it lightly, the fact that a grown-ass man assaulted a high school girl, all because of politics. I'm going to watch this shit one more time. Look at this.
Does he show the post where he got arrested?
Look at that. What kind of...
Am I crazy? Does he just show this again, or does he not say where he gets arrested? Maybe he made this before he got arrested. But let me see here, because I can tell you for a certain. Let's see. MAGA man arrested. Sorry, my guys. I thought he had it in that video. He might have made that before he actually got arrested. Yeah, this is what he looks like now. This is this is what he looks like when he got arrested. Fucking A. That and again, he's still fuck off, Bulletin. Hold on, shut up. My apology. He's still got the black eye, like he's still got the scars on his mouth and his face from getting punched and kicked by the fucking high school kids that he decided to attack, but they ended up kicking his ass. But he actually thought that shaving his head, shaving his mustache, he'd just be able to blend in. Like, again, they'd never catch me in my truck with my license plate that was clearly fucking photographed by at least 1,000 fucking cameras. Oh, these idiots. Just a bunch of fun. Let's see what was he arrested on? Assault and battery and what? Let me see here. Texas man. No. A man has been charged over a fight with a girl during a student walkout in Texas. Chad Michael Watts, 45, of Kyle, Texas, was arrested on Tuesday on 2 counts of assault causing bodily injury, the Buda Police Department said. Videos of the altercation circled widely on social media, showing a man with a Make America Great hat Make America Great Again hat on, attacking a girl before retreating to his vehicle. Spokesperson for the Buda Police had confirmed that the Newsweek that the man in the video was Watts and that he was wearing a MAGA hat. Well, what was not being told in these stories is that initially the police department was kind of not going to do anything about this, was kind of releasing statements like, oh, it was a both sides type of attack, which is just absolutely nonsense. And that goes along in line with what Greg Hot Wheels, what's his name? Greg Abbott was saying, because he was also coming out with social media posts talking about how the kids should be punished, how the students should be, how the fucking schools should be defunded, like the whole 9 yards. But I wonder what he's saying now that this guy got arrested and is clearly still wearing the black eye from the students. I think that's the best part about it. You can shave off the hair, you can shave off the mustache, but he couldn't do shit about that black eye. Oh, that's not going to be good. That's not going to be good. Going into Gen Pop after getting your ass kicked by a fucking bunch of high school kids. I don't know if you're going to be tough man on that block. All right, next feel-good story. Into the feel-good stories here. I appreciate it. We got a couple of them. Double dose of Kyle here covering the feel-goods. But again, we're going to need the feel-good stories where we can get them, right? Considering the severity and the just insanity of the shit that we've been covering lately. We need to get these in, fit these in where we can. So hopefully you guys can appreciate these couple stories that we're doing here. This one involving Nicki Minaj getting absolutely played like a fiddle. And I don't know if she's ever put a fiddle in one of her songs, but I think the next song she does, she might want to include one. Because, we all know that she's been doing the whole, Erica Kirk. She did Stephen Miller's wife's podcast at some point. She was on the stage with Trump. What was it? A week ago at this point, kind of holding his hand, talking about how she loves him. He's the best, even though Charlie Kirk thought she was a piece of shit and said she was a bad role model for the black community. Above and beyond all the other racist shit that the kid said, but, just specifically about her. But anyway, we all found out that not only is she not here legally, not only is she scared to death that she's going to be deported, but she also has another reasoning, which is a few family members that I'll just keep myself safe, allegedly wrapped up in some sexual assault. I don't know if they're allegations or convictions at this point. I'll just keep myself safe and say allegedly, but it's pretty clear as to why she's teaming up now with Team Trump, not only to save her own ass, which is going to take a lot of saving, but also her family's ass, the people that are again labeled as I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, sexual predators. So, all right, let's dive into this. This is where she thought her gold card, the gold card that, again, Donald Trump hates immigration, MAGA hates immigration, but Donald Trump only wants the richest and the most powerful people that want to immigrate to the United States to be able to with this gold card that you can pay $1 million to the Treasury. And, as long as you got a mill, doesn't matter who you are, you can all come in. Well, apparently, Nicki Minaj was given one for free, and she was going around social media bragging about it, talking about how she's like, yay close, from being an actual citizen and getting her immigration complete. Well, turns out that my room key at the fucking Holiday Inn Express I stayed in the other night has more fucking financial value than the Trump card that she got. It has more value and more meaning and can get me into more places, my last hotel room, than that fucking Trump card can get Nicki Minaj into. Oh, I love it. These fucking idiots. Just Absolute fucking titwats. All right, let's fucking dive into this one. And again, we don't have to go through too much of this. It's pretty hilarious right off the bat.
So as you all know, Nicki Minaj recently decided to make a big old MAGA turn. And man,
Wait a minute. It doesn't matter how much money you got. She's clearly giving shits. Okay. She's clearly giving shits. You think there's no reason whatsoever in which why she's fucking going on stage now all of a sudden with Donald Trump? Why she's simping this hard all of a sudden and was this excited about this gold card? Clearly she's worried about deportation. Clearly she's worried about either her husband's or her boyfriend's or her brother's, fucking criminal past. She's worried about fucking something. I don't give a shit how much money you got. Believe me, even fucking, the richest people have gone broke. If you make $200 million a year, but you spend $210 million a year, guess what? You're fucking broke, or you're going to go broke at some point. That's how it works. A lot of people think, oh, you make all this money. It doesn't matter if you spend like a moron. You can still be in a fucking financial position, just similar to Donald Trump was. Everybody thought he was a rich guy too. Turns out he was in some fucking serious financial holes and continues to be. You know what I mean? Believe me, she gives shits. Otherwise, she wouldn't be doing what she's doing. I just have to disagree. That's all.
It's a rough thing to see. It is tough to watch. So she did some event with Erica Kirk. That was bizarre. She started tweeting some MAGA bullshit. And, people speculate, is it tied to the fact that, like, she's got abusers in her family and she's trying to get them pardons? I'm not sure, because I don't know if the charges are, like, state charges or federal charges. If they're state charges, Trump can't even pardon them. So, like, I'm not sure if that's the reason. But now
But we've also seen him put pressure on different officials in different positions all over the country. So that doesn't mean that she can't, insert herself into this high-profile crew, including the president of the United States, in order to, again, put some sway or put some pressure on, maybe a judge that has to make a ruling in the future. Again, I don't know the ins and outs and the details of the cases and all that stuff, or her immigration process or where it's at and anything like that. I'll be upfront about that. But, it doesn't mean that she doesn't see a benefit into inserting herself into this fucking class of people. For whatever reason, you know what I mean? But it's definitely not doing her any good as far as her fans, as far as her own fucking people are concerned. Everybody's calling her out at this point. Everybody's laughing at her, and she's a big fucking joke. So there's got to be some sort of reason. She has to care about something, whatever it is. It could be anything at this point, but it seems to be, according to her social media posts, she seems to really care about this, the immigration status. So that's just what people are speculating.
A new theory. And the theory people gave was she's a permanent resident, but she's not yet a citizen. And so she's trying to suck up to Trump because she's afraid that she's going to get deported. And so she's like going full MAGA to try to find a way to get full citizenship. And lo and behold, what ended up happening? She went to these a few MAGA events, and Trump allegedly gave her one of the gold cards. Now, the gold cards, for those of you that don't know, Mr. I'm anti-immigration decided, if you have enough money, you can hop on the fast lane and fucking get citizenship like this. All you got to do is pay $1 million and you get citizenship. So apparently he's anti-immigrant unless you're talking about wealthy Saudi princes and the biggest billionaire assholes in the world. So He wants to shut down the border unless you're talking about the shadow government of moneyed interests and the cabal of pedophile, rapist, billionaire sadists. Those are the ones he's like, welcome, come here and rape, please. He does this event where he hands out this gold card to Nicki Minaj. And what happens next is hilarious. Ready?
Trump really played Nicki Minaj, and she didn't even see it coming. Nicki Minaj went online earlier this week bragging about receiving a Trump gold card and being one step closer to citizenship. But it turns out she was completely bamboozled, and here's what people need to understand. Donald Trump created the gold card concept as a way for wealthy individuals like Nicki Minaj to fast-track their pathway to citizenship by paying $1 million or more to the U.S. Treasury. Nicki, however, claimed she received the card for free, and now we know why. Because the card she was given is completely fake. Yes, fake. Nicki even showed off the card online and told fans she was currently finalizing her citizenship paperwork.
Oh, hold on. Let me go back. I wanted to read what you wrote real quick.
Yes, fake. Nikki even showed off the card on
She says, residency. The COPE is coping, finalizing that citizenship paperwork as we speak, as per my wonderful, gracious, charming president. Thanks to the petition, I wouldn't have done it without you. Oh, citizen Nika, you are the moment. Something gold trump card free of charge. Oh, gee, how'd that go? That's how it started. How did it finish?
line and told fans she was currently finalizing her citizenship paperwork. But here's where it gets messy, because the White House just shut her down and released a statement denying that Nicki Minaj ever received an official gold card. As a matter of fact, a White House official told the press the card Nicki Minaj received was nothing more than a memento, which means
Which means you can wipe your ass with it. That's what that means. That's what that means. Oh, Jesus. I love it when these fucking people just absolutely make the clown ass show out of themselves. And it's just like they get nothing from it. And as a matter of fact, they lose viewers, they lose followers, they lose friends, they lose family. It's like, for what? You absolute fucking morons. What did you expect?
it has no legal value and no impact on her citizenship process. Now, this is especially awkward, considering the female rapper has previously admitted she came to the United States illegally.
Now, by the way, I know that was a shitty TikTok AI video, but I looked it up and it turns out everything they're saying here is true. Man. All
right. Again, we'll dive on to a few of these other stories that we got. It's just, the feel good stories, as small as and minuscule as they might be. You need those every now and again. You need to throw those in there so people get a good laugh. You get a good smile. You know what I mean? You get some fucking blood pumping. You get some good energy in there in the chat flowing, right? Build some friendships, build some camaraderie, because we deal with a lot of heavy shit, right? We deal with a lot of shit that is, emotionally provoking, thought provoking. A lot of it is mundane. A lot of it is dry. A lot of it is just very serious and dangerous stuff and very impactful on your life and going forward, what could possibly happen. And, it's meaningful. So, every now and again, we need to make sure that we're laughing at morons, because morons deserve to be laughed at. How about that? All right. And let's dive into covering the ICE topic on this one. This is a Breaking Points video. And again, this is, I believe, from yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, as far as the testimony and the testifying in Congress was concerned. And this is from, one of the victims in Chicago, if I'm not mistaken, that was shot 5 times. Right. And then there were text messages that were released as part of the investigation from the ICE agents that were involved in that shooting. And this is Breaking Points discussing and kind of covering that moment in the hearing yesterday. And, talking about, emotionally distressing and like thought provoking and like, just shit that's fucking heavy. Wait till you hear and see what these ICE agents were texting and how they were texting after, again, putting 5 bullets into this young lady. Check this out.
Congress probed the behavior of ICE in hearings yesterday. Miramar Martinez was there, who was shot 5 times by ICE agents in Chicago, but survived, one of the more high-profile survivors of ICE violence. We're going to be joined in a moment by friend of the show, Van Lathan, to discuss the hearings. Let's start first with Martinez up on Capitol Hill. This is B1.
As my attorney showed the court the disgusting text messages Exum sent to his fellow Border Patrol buddies, literally bragging about how many times he shot me, I got sick to my stomach, seeing how a federal law enforcement officer would talk this way about shooting me, a woman who he swore into. Was both eye-opening and heartbreaking.
Is it true that in the body cam footage, the CBP officer told you to, and I'm so sorry for saying this, the officer told you to, quote, do something, bitch, before he fired?
Yes.
It's disgusting.
And shout out to Robert Garcia for his coverage of this and the way he kind of drilled down onto this testimony and showed the text messages for everybody. I feel like he did a very good job handling this. And so did this young lady do a very good job at handling this situation, which, of course, can't be fucking easy to relive and to speak in front of Congress, in front of cameras and stuff. So, well done to the both of them for being able to conduct this in the right manner.
Shameful. And it gets worse. Ms. Martinez, these are images of texts sent by the agent who shot you. And they're actually disturbing to read, but I think it's important for the public to see this. The agent linked an article about your shooting and texted, read it. 5 shots, 7 holes. I fired 5 rounds and she had 7 holes. Put that in your book, boys. Oh, well, it is what it is. Shit happens.
And this is without a doubt inside of a group chat, inside of, you know, one of their fucking, what they thought wouldn't be cracked, wouldn't be found group chats through these people where they probably do this shit on a regular basis. You know, whether it's a shooting, whether they kick somebody, whether they punch somebody, whether they pistol whip somebody, right? Whether they just push somebody to the ground. I'm sure they go home and they just can't help but rub one out to whatever happened and then spread the news on the fucking group chat so they could get their accolades, so they could get their attaboys, right? So they could get the thumbs up on their little fucking text messages. But look at the callous nature in which they talk about this. Read it. 5 shots, 7 holes, he says. I have an MOF amendment to add my story. I fired 5 rounds and she had 7 holes. Put that in your book, boys. Oh, well, it is what it is. Shit happens. I mean, if that doesn't put a chill down your spine, right? If you thought that these people had any remorse whatsoever for not only this shooting, but for Renee Nicole Good, for Alex Preddy, or the other people that have been involved in beatings, losing their eyesight just because of, rubber bullets or, stun guns or the fucking flashbangs. Like, that should send a chill down your spine that these people are doing this. And again, they're not going home and saying, oh, fuck, what do we do about it? How do I get out of this situation, right? How do I, apologize? How do I, fucking make myself a better officer? Nothing like that. What they're doing is they're fucking clapping at each other, right? They're bragging about how brutal, about how violent, about how many holes they can put in people. Fucking gross.
This is someone that works for the United States government. I fired 5 rounds and she had 7 holes. Now, he was talking about you, and it's our understanding that he was actually bragging about his aim shooting an unarmed American citizen. Is that right?
Correct.
And so we're hearing from Miramar Martinez because she survived that attack. We didn't hear from Renee Nicole Good, though we heard from some family members. Didn't hear, obviously, from Alex Preddy, who's no longer here to testify. But Van, I'm curious, when it comes to your audience, is this level of brutality kind of breaking through, and how have you seen the conversation around
We'll go on after this. I'm just curious as to his answer to this question.
immigration enforcement change? And also, welcome to the program.
Oh, thank you very much. Glad to have you back. I hope you had a good time down there. I see no tan. There was work to be done, I can tell.
I'm feeling good and ready.
What I'm seeing from my audience is rage. I'm seeing rage, and I'm seeing a sort of wake-up call. Now, Ms. Martinez, you guys just featured her. That was a story that I saw you guys cover, that I saw Majority Report cover, that I saw a lot of places in independent news media cover, but I did not see too much coverage of what happened to her anywhere else. I say that to say that I think that there were overreaches, brutality, and violations of the Constitution by ICE prior to Renee Good that the general public wasn't aware of. I don't think they understood. I think people got the sense in cities, particularly with large ICE deployments, of how ICE was roaming their communities and
again, he's 1,000% right, because I don't think I don't think the whole, film and follow, make sure that you're out there to watch and to disrupt and to kind of record everything that happened. I don't think that really took hold until after people saw, the fucking people rappelling off the buildings in Chicago and the entire building being round up. And then, the instances that were probably talked about, but not to the extent that we're seeing now, these kind of events being covered and talked about, and the outrage that we're seeing now. Like, it was just, I don't know. I don't want to say it was fresh, but I just don't think people had kind of the system in place to kind of combat and cover all of the stories and exactly what took place and, the investigations into text messages and all that. Like, I don't think people actually understood that it was even necessarily going to have to be taken that far. But people were kind of finding out in real time, what Greg Bovino was doing and talking about, what Tom Homan was doing and talking about. And that kind of led to the public awareness of, okay, now we all need to fucking be ready, be aware, be ready, fucking be vigilant, have our cameras ready, follow these motherfuckers, observe these motherfuckers, and impede these motherfuckers wherever we can, right? And that's kind of how all of the rest of these events that are filmed from 42 different angles, that's why we get this information. We're getting it quick now, and that's why I think the outrage is kind of, expanded as far as how quickly the stories get from taking place onto social media to, the public at large fucking reacting to it. You know what I mean? All right, so let's dive into this next thing that I wanted to cover here with Megyn Kelly and JD Vance sat down for probably one of the most useless interviews that you could possibly have from two of the most decrepit, fucking soulless individuals, soulless hacks that you could possibly imagine on the same screen. But yeah, I just kind of want to dive into one particular aspect I saw from this little sit down that they had, because we covered the moment that they discussed earlier on the show, which was Donald Trump and Caitlin Collins' little interaction. And I just kind of want you to observe the way that Megyn Kelly and JD Vance don't recognize the moment, don't kind of have the ability to read the room when they're discussing how Caitlin Collins was, not smiling when she was asking Donald Trump about the Epstein files, about the victims of sexual assault, of sexual trafficking, right? Like, she's supposed to have a fucking ear-to-ear grin on her face as she's supposed to be doing that. Well, JD Vance and Megyn Kelly reference that moment, and to a larger extent, they try to put it on the left and the media at large. But to us, they really get into the specifics of that moment and how JD Vance overheard it. I'll let him kind of discuss. Again, this is only going to be a minute or two from this little fucking useless sit down, maybe a couple minutes more at the most. We'll see where they go, but let's check this out and see how fucking, again, just totally detached from reality, totally not understanding what the American people are feeling right now as far as frustration and demanding answers and accountability. JD Vance, now you'd think he'd have, I don't know, a little bit better advisement from his advisors, considering his closest ally, Peter Thiel, is now, been outed. And you know what I mean? Has been fucking, not only on his, Joe Rogan interview where he sat down with Joe Rogan to just out himself again, but also in the files that we saw come out. But here's JD Vance sitting down with Megyn Kelly and talking shit, basically.
Be the president of the United States. And that is absolutely true, right?
But enough about that, Chris. We have plenty of time for him later.
It is a place of very intense egos. But the problem is people take themselves too seriously, right? So nobody in Washington can really make fun of themselves. Nobody can tell a joke at their own expense. It is an odd place.
It's one of the reasons why I think they have a love.
It is an odd place. It's like a place where a guy that's changed his name 7 times. It's like a place where a guy that pretends to be one thing that's clearly not that thing. It's like a place where a guy that, called the guy that he's working for now America's Hitler at one point. It's like such a weird place that guy who said all those things, did all those things, all that bullshit, the friends that he's got and the things that they're associated with could somehow make it to vice president of the United States through absolutely no fucking doing of his own. That's just how weird Washington, D.C. is. That's JD Vance could actually, manipulate that, and how I'm surprised he's calling it out, because he seems to benefit from how weird Washington, D.C. is.
Relationship with your boss.
Yes.
Because they can't stand him because they don't like his politics.
Correct.
But I think at some level, even the press corps is so relieved to have somebody.
And this is where they go into talking about the press corps and their relationship with Donald Trump. But then listen to the story that JD Vance gets into.
A joke every once in a while.
Yes.
Who will say we have to cut this cabinet meeting short because it was boring the last time?
No, that's because he was snoozing. That's because Trump was falling asleep in his fucking chair. And again, the optics of the president drooling on himself during a cabinet meeting, not one that the world would typically get favorable reaction to, let's just say.
Which, thank God for that. No, I mean
And
the-
fake
the-
laughs. Thank God for my fake laugh. How would I get through these interviews if I didn't have my fake laugh? And why does Megyn Kelly look like, I don't know, she looks like fucking Wednesday Addams, for fuck's sake. Why is she looks, I don't know, she looks like she should be in a Tim Burton cartoon or something.
president, he is just, if Washington is an insincere place, I think you said that and said it well, he is like the polar opposite. He just says what's on his mind.
Yeah.
He doesn't care how anybody's going to react to it. What you see is what you.
Oh, thank you, Carol. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. This page is where one finds friends and family. This will no doubt continue well. Oh, thank you so much for that. That is just an amazing contribution. Thank you so very, very much for that. I really do appreciate it. You're very welcomed in this chat, and we thank you every time you're in here, and we do appreciate your contribution. So very much appreciated. Thank you so much for that.
You get, and people always ask, well, what is he like in private? He is in private exactly like he is when he's in front of a camera. And I think,
Yeah, stinky, demented, sloppy, shitty, sweaty, illiterate, incompetent, corrupt. There's like we could do this all day, but you know he is pretty much the same in the background as he is on camera. Unintelligible.
I think that you're right. It kind of, there are some members of the press who kind of like him for it, then some members of the press who don't. And then I think for most members of the press, it's a little bit of both,
Yeah.
right? Like they admire the
Yeah,
game.
no, I'm gonna say that you're either loving him because you're on the right and you're just a sycophant, or you hate him and you have a brain. That's just, I don't think there's an in between, really.
Even if for some political reason they just can't admit that they actually like him, but most of them actually do.
They hate themselves for laughing.
Exactly. I mean, like there was a moment in the Oval Office. I wasn't even in there.
Yeah, listen up.
You know, I was in the West Wing, and somebody sent me where he was talking to Caitlin Collins, who's the CNN anchor. And I was
Yes, talking to Caitlin Collins, answering questions, or she was asking questions. Let me rephrase because he didn't answer any of the questions. But she was asking questions again about the Epstein files. You know, the Epstein files that you said, I believe it was on Theo Vaughn's podcast, and I'm sure on different occasions that you wanted desperately to see released, all of that shit, right? So that's what we're discussing here. He's talking about, again, when Caitlin Collins was asking Donald Trump about the victims, about the involvement of people close to Trump in his cabinet, listed in the Epstein files, and listen to how callous and cold they are in speaking about this. And again, the facial expressions of Caitlin Collins when talking about such a fucking, I don't know, not only a high profile, but such a fucking dark and just like demonic issue that we're speaking about, like we've seen come out in the Epstein files. Listen to this.
decent relationship with Caitlin Collins, which is unusual given that she's from CNN. But the president, she's asking a question. The president says, "Why don't you ever smile?"
Yeah.
And it's actually like so.
Why don't you ask the question? Let the audience know. Let Megan's audience know what the questions were. Let them know what they were about. Say it word for word, and then let's see if they think, okay, yeah, that's something that I'd be smiling during. That's something that I would definitely have a smile on my face while I'm asking the person that was himself listed 40,000 times in the files that we're speaking about.
Perceptive, even if you're asking a tough question, even if you take your job very seriously.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're asking about if you're child sex trafficking and pedophilia, I mean, even if you're asking about that, you should have like a better head on your shoulders, and you should realize that you should not have resting bitch face, right? I mean, because we all know, I'm sure the women in the chat can attest, nothing goes down better than somebody going up to a female and saying, hey, you know what would be good for you is if you just smiled more. Because I know, through the experience of life, that goes down really well all the time when you walk up to a woman and say, you should really smile more. Try it. Just make sure you're blocking, make sure you get your blockers up immediately when you say that to somebody, because it's not going to end well. It's just not going to.
Like, why does it always have to be so antagonistic?
Well, I laughed because I saw online everybody was calling him sexist for saying that. And I literally said the same thing about
Megyn Kelly, you would laugh online. That's funny because her first reaction, Megyn Kelly's first reaction to the questions being asked of Donald Trump and Donald Trump's answers, the ridiculous and insane answers that he did give, was to laugh. Because she doesn't care. Again, like Megyn Kelly said, fucking 13 and 14-year-olds, that's not really pedophilia, right? That's not really underage. These are just, they're just not 18. Which, again, those are the words of Megyn Kelly. In case you're joining us late, I don't want that to be clipped and think it's me saying that. That was Megyn Kelly. As gross as that is, she said it. She fucking said it.
Caitlin Collins a year ago on my show. She never
Yeah,
smiled.
again, laugh it up. Laugh it up. Let's cackle. Fucking slap that knee, motherfucker. Yeah, it's a knee slapper, isn't it? The child sex trafficking ring, that pedophilia ring that everybody wants answers to, that seemingly has all of your buddies and friends and colleagues and associates wrapped up in it. The one that Megyn Kelly again was defending and denying the severity of. Let's just say, you just cackle it up, buddy. Slap them motherfucking knees.
Every once in a while, you have to smile. Roger Ailes used to tell us that. Every once in a while, you get
Roger Ailes. I mean, who should Roger Ailes? Let's see. Roger Ailes. Let's see here. Was it him? Was that the guy that I'm thinking of? Because if anybody should know about Roger Ailes, right, it should be Megyn Kelly. Shouldn't it be Megyn Kelly? You would think, because Roger Ailes, the founder and former CEO of Fox News, was accused by numerous women of sexual harassment and abuse during his tenure, leading to his resignation in July 2016, a series of lawsuits that continued even after his death in 2017. The allegations, often described as predatory pattern of behavior involving forcing women into sexual relationships in exchange for career advancement. Just, like Roger Ailes. I mean, what better person to bring up in that case? And look who's listed here. Then the Star anchor reported to internal investigators that Ailes made unwanted sexual advances toward her in her early career. That's, again, just in case you're wondering, that is indeed her right there. That's her. This person here that we're talking about with the, that's what we're looking at, this right here. The one that, had unwanted sexual advances. The one that just brought up Roger Ailes, like, he used to give us the best advice. We used to tell us to smile all the fucking time. That was before he was forcing us to blow him in the back room so we could get the fucking late night show. But boy, did he give good advice right before he abused us. Huh? Just before he sexually assaulted us, he used to give us the best goddamn advice. And one of those things was, hey, bitch, you should smile more. Unfucking real, these people. I can't even believe she just brought that up.
remember smile. Show
Just
the viewers that you have a
have
heart.
some fun,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, show that you have a heart. No better person to tell you how to have a heart than the person that you accused of unwanted sexual assault, right? And that was literally fucking had to resign from his position at Fox News because of the amount of women. Gretchen Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Laura Loon, other accusations, dozens of other women, including Andrea Tantaros, Shelley Ross. Let's see, who else? Other accusation accused offered a television producer high-paying in exchange for sex in the 1980s. Alleged sexual harassment of some describing Ailes' behavior as a sex slave situation. Jesus. I forgot how fucked up that situation was. 21st Century Fox paid $20 million in a settlement to Gretchen Carlson and made other confidential settlements, including one over $3 million to Laura Loon in 2011. Fucking hell. But yeah, he used to give fucking pisser advice. He used to give just the best advice per Megyn Kelly.
In life, you can't always take yourself too seriously. You're going to have a heart attack. And that's too much of the Washington press corps. And of course, they don't act like that when the other guys are in power. So there is a political bias angle to it.
Yeah.
But I think that the press would have a much higher, the media is one of the least trusted institutions in the United States of America.
Hold on. Did he already say have some fun? Did I miss that part? Sorry.
You can't always take yourself too seriously. You're going to have a heart attack. And that's too much of the Washington press corps. And of course, they don't act like that when the other guys are in power. So there is a political.
Did I miss it already? Because he literally says have
Online,
some
everybody
fun.
was calling him sexist for saying that. And I literally said the same thing about Caitlin Collins a year ago on my show. She never smiles. Every once in a while, you have to smile. Roger Ailes used to tell us that. Every once in a while, you get remember smile. Show
Just
the viewers that you have a heart.
Have some fun,
Yeah.
right?
There you go. Have some fun. I mean, what better way to fucking kick off a little stress, right? Relieve a little stress than to get out there into the Oval Office and question the fucking active and sitting president of the United States about his involvement in the world's largest sex trafficking ring, the world's largest pedophilia ring that he and his large fucking amount of cohorts were involved in. Talking about these egregious and sick crimes perpetrated on the victims that want to see justice and accountability. Just go out and have some fun, guys. You don't meet up with friends and go out to the bar for a drink and a beer or two. Don't do that. Don't go shoot some pool or go bowling. What you want to do is go question people in the Epstein files about the crazy, insane, disgusting crimes they committed on the victims. And again, according to JD Vance, that'll be a fucking hoot of a time. Just have some fun, smile while you're doing it. Ugh. Fucking absolutely disgusting, these people. Absolutely fucking despicable in every single way. And speaking of despicable in every single way, let's show you this one, because this is pertaining to the video we were talking about this morning as well, where we showed on Dan Bongino's podcast. Was this morning or yesterday? I don't know. I fucking get them all mixed up nowadays. But in one of the last couple shows that we did, we talked about how on Dan Bongino's latest podcast that he did, he had Donald Trump on, and Donald Trump said that the Republicans should take over the voting. They should nationalize the voting. And it looks like Donald Trump doubled down on that again. So why don't we just play this quick clip of Donald Trump doubling down once again on that, just so we can kind of drive home this point that it wasn't just like a one-off statement. It wasn't like a flub. He didn't fucking misspeak, and he continuously thinks this. Let's go.
President Trump is doubling down on his calls to essentially throw out the Constitution, at least parts of it, and take over voting operations in more than a dozen states across the country. He first, as we talked about yesterday, he first said this on a podcast, and then he was asked to clarify, and he did clarify, it appears, defending his call for Republicans to nationalize elections, saying, here's the quote, "The federal government should get involved." At least it appears, in the places where he doesn't like how the votes have turned out in the past, like the election he lost in 2020.
Take a look at Detroit. Take a look at Pennsylvania. Take a look at Philadelphia. You go take a look at Atlanta. Look at some of the places that horrible corruption on elections. And the federal government should not allow that. The federal government should get involved. These are agents of the federal government to count the votes. If they can't count the votes legally and honestly, then somebody else should take over.
And again, setting the stage. That's what I believe they're doing, setting the stage for what exactly. How can you be sure? Nobody can be sure at this point, but something is fucking cooking in the crock pot behind the scenes. That I can assure you. As to, the success they're going to have, I don't know. As to, how they're going to implement whatever plan they have in place, I don't know. But there's only one reason why Donald Trump would be speaking like this again. There's only one reason why they'd be giving these fucking different states quid pro quos on handing over their voter rolls. There's only one reason why they would be fucking going into Fulton County and going into their, stealing the fucking ballots from the 2020 election again. It's because they got something cooking up behind the scenes. Okay, this wasn't a one-off on Dan Bongino's fucking podcast. He seems to really want the federal government. And again, put this in line with what fucking Steve Bannon said about having ICE and DHS and Border Patrol roaming around the election sites to intimidate, to dissuade people from showing up and casting their vote. Again, I wish I knew the exact plan, but knowing these motherfuckers, they don't have an exact plan. They just know they want to disrupt and in any way do something that they possibly can to make sure that they win the midterms or they have a better showing or they don't lose as badly or whatever the fuck that they're trying to attempt. Something is going on behind the scenes. So we're going to have to keep our eye, obviously, closely firmly planted and looking at that and what's going on with that. Need to follow his comments. Need to follow what's going on with his, his regime and what they're telling different states and different governors, what they're threatening, what they're demanding. And we'll be sure to do that here on Blunt Politics. But, here's a couple instances in which, let me see if I can dive into what time is it? 9:30 we start. All right, so we got time. I'm going to dive into this is a Teo clip because I really want to, just understand clearly and what, where the state of the free press is. I think we understand that it's, being strained, and that is a dramatic understatement at this point in time. But, it's as far as Joy Reid, Jim Acosta, and Mehdi were discussing, I'm just kind of curious as to what their thoughts were on a lot of different subjects. They talk about the free press, independent media. What else here? Trump's attacks on the press, CBS, CNN, and Scott Jennings. Then they take some audience questions, and we'll just kind of dive through this into different aspects if you'll allow me. And again, this is on Zateo. Shout out to the Zateo and Mehdi Hassan. Let's hear what they got to say. Let's dive into a couple minutes of this. I appreciate you guys.
Independent journalists, all of us ex-cable news, what is it like being free?
We don't really have a free press right now. If the government can put its thumb on the backs of these corporate titans who run these networks.
So what we have are no institutional supports for our journalists. We have their bosses paying bribes to the president of the United States.
Recently, Donald Trump has abused multiple female reporters.
We have a person sitting in the White House who is an civilly adjudicated sexual abuser.
When you get called fake news and the enemy of the people, it's not just Trump coming after you, it's all of his people coming after you. There was a tweet that said, kill Jim Acosta.
CNN is employing someone who has no respect for their audience and is doing a WWE performance for one person.
What was the biggest thing?
And that's Scott Jennings. I knew that right off the bat before even looking at the fucking chapters and who they were discussing. You could tell right off the bat that's about Scott Jennings. And we've had our own opinions, and I've made it very clear what I think of Abby Phillips' show. I think it's a fucking total and complete waste of time. I think the people that they're platforming can do absolutely more damage than good. Nothing ever comes out of that. Nothing is ever fucking settled. Nothing comes from it. It is just, again, a WWE style fucking show. That's all it is. It is just an absolute theatrical performance from people that should never be on fucking TV to begin with, in my opinion. And again, do they get, a viral clip here and there to come out of it? They do. Do they now and again have some good people on there? They do. But again, to a large extent, that show is absolute shit. And that's not to say anything or nothing against Abby Phillips. That's kind of the role that she's been thrust into by CNN. And, I'm sure to a large extent, it's hard for her to kind of get out of that, even if she wanted to. But they have to understand that platforming a person, a scumbag, an asshole, a degenerate like Scott Jennings is just, the epitome of the both sides. Let's have the worst of the worst on so he can give his side to combat what the fucking, what this side is saying. And it, again, has gotten us nowhere as far as politics to this point. And they continue to push this bullshit on CNN and to a large extent, these other fucking channels as well.
Do you think when it comes to the media's coverage of Gaza?
I do not believe that particularly a Democratic candidate
Sorry. It would be great if I put it back on the screen for you guys. It normally helps in a podcast.
can be elected unless they acknowledge that there is a genocide that happened in Gaza.
And that's another great point by Joy. And that's just the preview, obviously. And hopefully we get to discuss that point. But, she makes it very clear that she doesn't believe that any Democrat, anybody should be elected to any position if you don't have the wherewithal, if you don't have the ability to say you're living in reality and call what we saw and is still taking place to this moment inside of Gaza a genocide. There's just no room for error on that one. There's no room for compromise. And I'll be damned if anybody's going to be fucking voted into office that's still, having the side of Israel over, the side of reality and what we continue to see on a daily basis over there. It's pretty sick. And again, speaking out about it just recently was Gavin Newsom, who refused to call it a genocide and who was sitting down with Ben Shapiro, I believe it was. And once again, agreeing with Ben Shapiro on Gavin Newsom's podcast, which I thought we made pretty fucking clear the first time he tried that, was not the way to go. If you want to go on their podcast and try to get their audience, that's one thing. But it does absolutely no fucking good to have them on your audience, to have them on your platform so they can try to poach your audience. That's just not how it works, because there's no motherfuckers from Ben Shapiro's podcast coming over to watch, or at least not a substantial amount of them, where you could actually fucking get some benefit from them. That's the complete and total opposite. Not to mention the rhetoric that came from him was just infuriating. But again, different story, different time, different show. We'll go over it. Here's the beginning to this talk between, again, Joy Reid, Mehdi Hasan, and Jim Acosta.
So, thank you all for coming. Thank you guys for being here tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you for having
Great to be
us.
here.
Independent journalists, all of us ex-cable news.
The
What is-
castaways. I
what
feel
is
like
it-
we're Gilligan's Island.
Well, I want to say the liberated ones.
Yes.
What is it like being free?
Oh
Jim?
my gosh. It's like being liberated and naked all at the same time, I think might be one way of putting it. No, I've been telling people, I ran into somebody recently who's like, oh, you got fucked over at CNN.
That's kind of an apt description by Jim on that one. Like, you feel liberated but naked at the same time. Like, I can understand that. Again, not delusional by any means, putting myself on the same fucking platform, whatever. You don't understand what I'm saying. But, to be independent, to, work for yourself, or to do this full time as a podcaster or a live stream, whatever you want to call it, as a content creator, and to feel liberated, to feel free to speak as I want to speak, to comment as I want to comment, to speak about the situations and the topics that I want to speak about without fearing about ads or, you know, backers or fucking corporate sponsors or whatever the fuck. I don't have to worry about it. But you also feel naked as well, because you are at the fucking, you're at the I don't know what you want to call it. I don't know. You're exposed, basically. You're at the, you know, if people don't want to watch a show, if they don't find value in what you do, then, you know, you're at the will of the people, basically. It's just, you're 100%, unless you're, again, like people like this. And again, I'm sure to some extent, I'm even more naked than Jim Acosta is, because I'm sure he's got, you know, the financial backers and the people that would be, you know, the channels that are fucking, you know, that have millions and millions of subscribers that are willing to have these people on, like they are. I believe Joy Reid has a show on BET now. I'm not sure exactly where Jim Acosta's at, but I'm sure he's doing his thing wherever he's doing it, right? And I'm sure so is Mehdi Hassan, obviously, with Zateo. But to a large extent, you're out there kind of naked. And again, you're, you know, if something happens, if the platforms are shut down, if, you know, fucking free speech is cracked down on even more, who knows what could possibly happen? You just kind of, you know, you're at the risk of the people. And that's kind of, I understand where he's coming from on that one.
So sorry for you. I was like, man, I'm having the best time of my life. It is. Thank you. And I'm allowed to use that kind of language. I hope. I'm sorry.
You're free.
Right in the very first sentence. I'm free. I'm liberated.
Can't say it on CNN. But you
Can't say it on.
it.
Almost said it a couple times, especially at the very end. But you know, no, I you know, honestly, in this moment, I've been calling it a fuck it moment, because if we're not going to use that kind of language now, when are we going to use it?
Again, something else that I've been saying for a long time. A lot of people, they have a way of, you know, kind of relating to realness, right? They have a way of relating to people, speaking from the heart, and, you know, speaking what's on their chest and not sugarcoating it and not fucking dumbing it down and not putting it through this advisor and having it fucking rewritten 25 times to have it sound politically correct, to have it sound like this or that, and to making sure everything's polished and anything. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people find comfort in feeling like they're speaking with their friends and their family and their loved ones in the living room, so they can kind of speak freely and be comfortable and, you know, not have to feel like they're walking on eggshells and have to be, completely articulate and, you know, not flub up and screw up every now and again, as I do every single show. So I'm proven that point as I go along. But you know what I mean? I feel like we're creating a community here where it's like, we're just coming to shoot the shit with our friends, speaking about important issues, and there's no, you know, real judgment here. You know, obviously we get into our arguments and fights. Every family does, but you know, we always come together where we always feel like we're on the same team, regardless of how, disagreements happen or what we disagree on. We all feel like we're all fighting for the same thing in the end. And I feel like that's a good community that we've built. And I appreciate you guys.
We're in right now.
Also, the mayor of Minneapolis used it, and apparently that was worse than shooting a woman in cold blood.
I saw that. I know. I'm thinking to myself, why are we worried about this? This is not the thing to be worried about. But no, I mean, as Joy will say, and I'm sure Mehdi, you agree. I mean,
and again, just for the sake of time, I'm going to go on where they talk about Donald Trump's attacks on the free press. I'm just curious as to what their thoughts are on that.
Yeah.
All right, Joe, what do you make of this recent occurrence? I don't know how many people here saw Caroline Levitt attacked Neil Stanage, reporter, I probably mispronounced his name, a reporter in the White House briefing room, who actually asked a pretty decent question. Then she asked him a question back about ICE. He said, well, ICE killed this woman in Minneapolis. Yeah. She went nuts, started shouting at him, saying, you're an activist, you're a hack, you're partisan. This was the same briefing where moments earlier, she had giddily welcomed Riley Gaines, the swimmer turned far-right influencer, to the new media briefing seat.
Sure.
So it's fine to have these kind of far-right nut jobs come to the White House briefing room. But if a reporter asks a question, that means they're fake news. I mean, it's bizarre.
I mean, it's new and it's not new. Remember during the George W. Bush administration, he started inviting the equivalent of influencers at that time to ask softball questions in the media briefing room. Every politician wants softball coverage. They want gentle coverage that just, elevates them and makes them feel important and wonderful. The difference now, and I think Jim got to it, is we now have a press corps that will not stand up for the Associated Press when they're booted out of the White House for not lying and saying the Gulf of Mexico is now called the Gulf of America. We have a Pentagon press corps who all had to walk out because of the demands that they
Yes.
passed their reporting on our national security.
And Laura Loomer took their seats.
Correct. And they've now been replaced by a series of weirdo podcasters. And if there is a situation where a journalist's laptop has been seized and her home raided, and there's no response, where is the White House Correspondents Association? We started our show, our first guest was Amber Ruffin, who was supposed to just do comedy at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. She was pushed out by the White House Correspondents Association itself because they were afraid that she would offend Donald Trump, who didn't even show up. So what we have are no institutional supports for our journalists. We have their bosses paying bribes to the President of the United States. And you have the great replacement of real journalists with Trump lackey podcasters and influencers. And so I think it couldn't be any worse.
I want to add something to that, which is,
and again, I couldn't have been more spot on in her assessment of what's been taking place. Again, with the lawsuits against 60 Minutes, CBS, we've seen them kind of kowtow the way that they've kind of, donated to the ballroom, donated to the library, more than willing to kind of pay this settlement, that lawsuit, give them this bribe, this kickback, whatever it may be. We'll take this down. We'll rewrite this. Don't worry, we won't take it to court. Just tell us how much you want, kind of thing that's been going on, so they don't stand in the way of Donald Trump. So they're not in the way because they want their mergers to go through, or they want this or that for their fucking shareholders, whatever it may be. They're not doing right by the American people. They're not doing right by democracy. And it's a clear-cut fucking example of what fascists love to see happen, and what the fascist playbook entails and tells you to do when you want the destruction, the whole fucking system being degraded, when you want the absolute power in your hands, the chaos, the power from a dictator comes best at the hands of chaos, right? When fucking Hitler was, the outcast, things were, seemingly on the surface going somewhat well for the Weimar Republic, going somewhat well after, when, again, at the same time where Hitler was an outcast. But again, when inflation took hold, when shit really fucking hit the fan, when fucking the unemployment rose to a level that couldn't become, you couldn't come back from, that's when everybody started turning to these alternative sources of not entertainment, but politics. You know what I mean? That's when the outcast started actually becoming like, oh, maybe he's not so crazy. Maybe he was actually kind of right about these type of things. But they thrive during chaos. That's kind of the point. You know what I mean? They don't want the societal norms. They don't want all of these kind of roadblocks in place to their power grabs. They want it to be, a free for all. They want everybody kind of fighting for their own. They want everybody just kind of, fucking look in another direction as the grift and the corruption takes place.
Fear of losing your job or having Trump attack you or want to keep your Christian. I think it's worse in some ways, because some of these journalists who are not Trump supporters, who are quote unquote liberals or central, but do quite like Trump. They like him in a way that he gives them copy, he gives them content. I've noticed a lot over the last few months, a lot of prominent journalists saying, well, Joe Biden didn't talk to us.
That's correct.
Donald Trump talks to us on Air Force One.
That's
He
right.
talks to us on the tarmac outside Air Force One. He talks to us in the Oval Office. He talks to us in the briefing room. He talks.
But he talks complete bollocks, complete and utter rubbish. And I'd love to have Mehdi share some names right now on some of these people being like, well, Trump's bad, and I know people are getting shot in the streets, and, I know he's trying to steal elections, and I know he's starting wars in Iran and fucking Colombia and, with Mexico and China, the whole nine. Yeah, we all know that, but at least he talks to us on Air Force One. I'd love to have him drop some names right now. I really would.
Biden didn't talk. It's almost as if Joe Biden punished for not talking enough.
That's right.
While Trump talks a lot. He lies to them. He calls them piggy, but it's fine because he's talking.
And their job is to get a quote from him, right?
So they
and
like
so
that.
They'll get, and this was the way it was with John McCain. This is the way it was with George W.
If
Bush.
you give the press,
and this is, I think, a lot of people's problems with like the clickbait channels that people have been kind of, referencing as of late on these other, on these different platforms where, it almost seems like the more that they can get from these Trump clips, the more that they can get from these fucking sensational headlines and the clickbait, it seems like, they're profiting more and more from it. So do they actually want to see the end of it, or what's going to happen when they're no longer able to kind of use that aspect of what's been going on. So I don't know. I'm no accusations being thrown around, but to a large extent, you will see some people kind of, not want to stop having the coverage. And I kind of understand to a certain extent what Mehdi's talking about. I haven't heard anybody specifically use the words that he's used, but I think we can all see what he means with what he's talking about.
Them copy and you give them content, they like you. And then you've got the other extreme of it, the Barry Weisses of the world, who've been sitting around as failures in a New York Times newsroom and left in a huff because people couldn't stand her and she hates diversity, equity, and inclusion, creates a Substack whose whole purpose is to fight against diversity, equity, inclusion, even though she's a diverse person herself, fails up to run the Tiffany network, CBS, and the latest news is always about her. It's about her failed Erica Kirk, which she starred in Town Hall, or it's about her cheek kissing Donald Trump and appalling everyone in her newsroom. And everyone sees that she's just rewarded for mediocrity, for failure, and for sucking up. And so
propaganda. That's the whole point. That's what everybody continues to call out. You know what I mean? You're rewarded for your propaganda. You're rewarded like we knew everybody that was an acolyte of Donald Trump for a long time. You're rewarded for your ass kissing, right? You're rewarded when you go out of your way to do something nice or to protect Donald Trump or to say something fucking glowing about him, to give him praise, right? It's no different. It's the same thing now that these people are doing. They understand that if they give him, a couple cookies every now and again, if they throw him a bone every now and again, then they'll either be able to stay off his radar or they'll be outright fucking rewarded for their coverage. But I want to go on here where they start talking about Scott Jennings, because as we all know, Scott Jennings is a fucking despicable human being that shouldn't be televised, that shouldn't be given the ability to fucking open his mouth in front of a camera on national television. So I'm just kind of curious as to their thoughts about that and if they kind of are similar to what we think about Scott Jennings here at Blunt Politics. So again, just this last segment, and then we got a bunch to cover going into what's been taking place recently in Ukraine. So let's get into this part. I really do appreciate you guys. Way to go. I lost it. No, I didn't. There it is.
Jim, for obvious reasons. Let's talk about CNN. Joy, just over the weekend, a little bit. Just over the weekend, Scott Jennings, CNN's resident MAGA pundit, popular guy here at the Howard Theater tonight.
Worse booze than Barry Weiss.
Oh, God.
Wow.
He said we should not get our knickers in a twist in reference to the Epstein story. A horrible phrase to use in general. A horrible phrase in particular to use on that story. Thankfully, the other panelists called him out. He then made some racist remarks about all Palestinians being Hamas. He's used to doing this.
Yes.
He recently did an interview with Adam Friedland, in which he said that he described his on-air performances as a, quote, mixture of showbiz and WWE. Why is a news network paying this man to give his opinions if he himself is admitting it's all a game, it's all a performance?
And I had a guest on the Joy Reid show that actually described Donald Trump, who is in the WWE Hall of Fame, that's what he's doing, right? The sort of over-the-top behaviors are sort of a WWE performance. But, he's an idiot. He's unfortunately, the president of the United States. Scott Jennings he's not a journalist, but he's on a network that is supposed to be journalistically inclined. And I'll start by saying, I think the biggest scandal about Scott Jennings that I cannot explain is that he's supposedly only 48 years old. Yeah. I cannot accept that. He looks...
It's like a Brendan Carr thing.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Like
he had a bad paper round.
Yes.
In the UK.
He's aging poorly. If he's only 48, I don't even know what to say. I mean, I can't believe he's not very much older than me.
Is this what switching to MAGA does to you?
I suppose so. MAGA makes you age. But the other piece of it is, it's such a tell that he actually wasn't embarrassed to say that on camera.
Yes.
So he's not only admitting that what he's doing is a performance, right? He's performing for Trump. He's performing for Trump supporters.
He's the over-the-top facial expressions.
Over the top, the smarminess, the snarkiness, all of it. That it's bullshit, and he knows it. But he's willing to say it because I don't think that he even takes the CNN audience seriously enough or respects them enough.
Right? His audience.
And that's the whole point, though. He's there to disrupt. He's there just to interject the bullshit in the propaganda so that whatever points are being made by the people on the other side of the fucking desk can be diluted, right? So they can be fucking, whitewashed to a certain extent. So at least they hear, the objection to it, the bullshit propaganda to what was ever said by the person that was undoubtedly right over Scott Jennings. That's the whole point. So why CNN? And we all know, because of the owners of CNN, we all know what their their fucking which way they want to go and how cowed they are to Donald Trump. But, as to why, again, Abby Phillips doesn't say, hey, I'm going to put my foot down and I'm not going to fucking speak to this clown anymore. Let's get somebody that actually has, a journalism degree. Let's get somebody that actually has some fucking class or a soul or a brain on here so we can actually have some in-depth discussion and maybe come to a reasonable ending, maybe come to an agreement by the end of it and not just have this combative bullshit, again, known as the WWE style of politics every single night that we're out there. It's fucking crazy. And to the fact that, even like Piers Morgan to a large extent has had like this whole portion of the fucking social media sphere locked down, the fucking WWE. Let's get people that hate each other on the show. We'll try to, act like we're trying to control them. But really, when they're screaming at each other, that's what people want. Well, that's what CNN has tapped into, right? And that's what the Abby Phillips show is to a large extent. And again, this whole Scott Jennings has to be the feature. Scott Jennings is like the fucking through line. He's there all the time, no matter what. Is there like both sidesism? Is there what about? Right? That's CNN saying, okay, we'll give you the ability to talk about Joe Biden. We'll give you the ability to bullshit about the 2020 election or bullshit about COVID or whatever. That's your Trump. That's Trump's in, right? That's okay. The Trump administration has their little fucking acolyte in Scott Jennings, and we're doing you a favor. Don't worry, we'll keep him on and he'll be on every show. That's what that's at least what it seems like to me. But all right, no, we don't need to, that one's about an hour long. So again, if you want to head over to Zateo and watch the rest of that, there's a bunch of other things. They talk about media coverage of Gaza. They take questions from the audience. They go on to talk about CBS. They talk about more in-depthly about Trump's attacks on the free press. But unfortunately, for time's sake, we don't have enough time to cover the whole thing. But definitely, if you want to check that out, head over to Zateo. Appreciate Zateo and what Mehdi's doing over there. But all right, let's get into a few of these Ukrainian videos about the updates on the front lines, the change in tactics, what's been going on with the recent attacks on the energy infrastructure. So let's start with this one from NBC. Again, this is just a general overview. It's about a minute and talking about just the recent strikes on the energy infrastructure that Russia, again, was supposedly supposed to not be hitting. Right. And, obviously we know how that ends every time the Russians agree to something or sign an agreement or anything. And that's continued. That's the through line throughout the history of Russia, basically. All right, let's dive into this one and let's see what else we can fucking learn from what's been taking place on the front lines. And again, the change in tactics on the front lines.
U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and the president's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, are in Abu Dhabi today for the next round of talks with Russian and Ukrainian officials.
And again, to me, these are useless discussions in my eyes. And again, I'm sure to a certain extent, they're not useless, but to have these meetings take place and then it's the same line of bullshit every time afterwards. Oh, it was productive. It was a meaningful discussion. I really feel like, we went forward and this and like, it's just, we've been hearing the same shit. So I'm desensitized to these meetings and like the bullshit propaganda to come out of it afterwards. And, Steve Witkoff saying that they're close and this person saying that they're close. And obviously the other representatives of the countries there are going to come out and say it was a good talk. They're not going to say, hey, this was fucking horseshit and these people are, idiots. You know what I mean? That's just not how it works. So to a large extent, I don't even put much stock unless something actually does come from it, then I will cover it.
Ukraine's top negotiator calling today's talks substantive and productive and focused on concrete steps and practical solutions. But it does come as Russia continues to escalate its bombardment of Ukraine. President Zelensky saying there's already been a total of 217 Russian attacks on Ukraine's energy sector since the start of the year as the country battles frigid temperatures. Meanwhile, Russia's
again, putting the civilian population at risk directly of not only fucking hypothermia, not only malnutrition because your fucking appliances don't work, you can't cook, the restaurants aren't open, right? But also at attack and risk of their fucking drone and missile strikes. I mean, this is an attack specifically on the civilian population. And again, we all know what it's called when you fucking generalize the punishment to the civilian population because of what you don't like, because of what the government is doing, right? It's a war crime. That's what it is, ladies and gentlemen. It is a war crime. You cannot do it. You cannot have collective punishment on the population of the fucking country because you're at war with the government. You know, understand? That's why we continuously talk about, you know, justifiable military targets that Ukraine strikes and not going after the civilian population of Russia, right? If you don a uniform and you strap a fucking AK-74 or 47 to your chest and you enter in Ukrainian territory, or you put your foot on a fucking Russian base that's, you know, responsible for sending planes, drones, missiles into Ukraine and killing people, then you become a justifiable target, right? Then you become a justifiable military target. And we've done, you know, ample coverage on the difference between the two militaries and the targets that they go after. And, you know, this is just explaining it to a further extent. But here, when you're talking about, you know, what's going on in Kyiv and what the, you know, the energy infrastructure strikes and the effect that it's having on these cities, this is Kalen Robinson, and he did a pretty good, you know, video. He has a pretty good video here detailing, you know, the effects of these ongoing strikes and what Kyiv's going through. So if I can, I wanted to dive into a few minutes of Kalen's video here titled "Kyiv is absolutely freezing right now, and this is why." Slava Ukraini, Heroyam Slava. Very much appreciate you guys, all that support democracy, not only here in the United States, but all over the world. The people that support Ukraine, I can't thank you enough. Everybody in the chat, you guys are fantastic, and I salute you guys for all of your support. And again, let's dive into this, and let's get further acquainted and updated with what the people of Kyiv and elsewhere in Ukraine are going through right now at the hands of the Russians.
This is one of the coldest winters that Kyiv has ever seen. And right now, millions of people are plunged into freezing conditions. A Holocaust survivor died just a few days ago. And this is just a few days after Steve Witkoff promised at Davos, in the same room as me, right in front of me, that he was seconds away from peace with Vladimir Putin, that Putin was seconds away from signing a peace deal.
So we're off to Moscow tonight. I think we're going to get it done. So thank you.
And Mark Rutte, the head of NATO, repeated exactly the same lies.
President Trump is the one who worked the devil with Putin, started to negotiate, which was crucial.
And here we are now, just days later.
I'm really getting sick of that guy's bullshit, too. I remember the other day on the show, we covered his statements of he was going after the other NATO and European leaders for, you know, putting together a plan or putting together some sort of plan to, you know, go ahead without the United States, or talk about how security would work without the United States. And Mark Rutte came out and said, "Oh, you're all dreaming if you think that we can defend ourselves without the United States." Well, fucking what an asinine thing to say. What a fucking dumb thing to say. And I know he's trying to play the game to a certain extent of pandering to Donald Trump to try to get the best and most maximum result out of it. But again, he's just to a large extent just making himself look like a fool time and time again with these ridiculous statements. And again, just my opinion on those ones.
With worse conditions, missiles crashing into cities all around Ukraine, plunging millions more Ukrainians into extreme cold and extreme darkness. And this is what peace looks like when you negotiate with Vladimir Putin. And we have seen this every single time. But in this report, I didn't just want to make it about the horror that Putin is unfolding on this country. I wanted to show the incredible bravery of the workers that keep this city alive and functioning, and the people that work at the energy sector that keep this entire place alive. So first, I'm going to go to the left bank and show you exactly how people are living there. And then I'm going to show you how these guys operate and keep things moving. And these guys have been through hell. Just 2 of the DTEC workers died of exhaustion just literally 2 weeks ago because they're working around the clock to keep what's left of the energy in this city functioning. So this report should be about them. So this is the left bank, and most of these buildings are basically without power, and that's because Russia has hit the energy infrastructure and the thermal infrastructure here.
I mean, again, I think we all understand just how dangerous it is to have no heat, you know, no ability, no way to make food when it's minus 16 degrees Fahrenheit. Right? I mean, as you just saw, if I'm not mistaken, yep. Minus 27 Celsius, minus 16 Fahrenheit. I mean, it doesn't need much explanation as to the danger that you're facing when you don't have heat, your pipes bursting. Again, anybody that lives in New England or the Northeast to a large extent, or a cold area of the United States, can understand, the severity of what you're going through, and especially spending long periods of time without power and without heat. You know, short bursts and short instances of power loss. Again, I'm sure to a large aspect people deal with that, but not to have it for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days at a time. That's when you start really getting into the dangerous aspects.
Buildings are basically without power. And that's because Russia has hit the energy infrastructure and the thermal infrastructure here constantly, hundreds of times in the last few months. And they've chosen this winter, the coldest winter in years, to do it because Russia has nothing other than terrorism, other than cowering and terrifying people in their homes and making it so that people freeze to death.
We've just been given access to go and film with repair workers who are keeping overhead lines going, who are keeping energy stations running. And I want to find out what it's like to work under fire like this. Because honestly, whenever an air alert goes off in Kyiv, probably the most likely target for the drones and missiles are...
Hold on 1 second. Where was that? I don't understand what this comment means. Where'd it go? Somebody said that nobody wrote a book. Was that idiot that I was talking about earlier? Oh, there it is. Nobody wrote a book called, yeah, your mom did, right? I thought, wasn't that talking about the temperature of her soul? Wasn't that what that book was about? I could be wrong. Maybe it was the temperature of her crotch. I don't know. One of the two. My apologies. And again, if you're not trolling, sorry about coming after you. My apologies.
Are where we're about to go now. Probably the most dangerous place in Kyiv. Anything to do with energy. So we've had to get this access. I had to make sure everything was blocked, everything would be censored, everything would be cut off. So we'll do lots of close-up shots, but it'll be really interesting to see how repair workers keep things going. You know, the Iron family are the rail workers in this country who keep the trains moving all the time, who keep things moving.
Well, now I feel bad. Now I feel bad. My apologies. Sorry, read the chat wrong. My apologies. I make mistakes. Right hand up. I take everything I said back. I take it all back. Let me pull all that shit back. I'm actively pulling it back. My apologies. Sometimes you just get it wrong. It's hard to keep up with the chat. And sometimes it seems like people are trolling when they're not. So right hand up, accountability here on Blunt Politics. We take my apologies. Right hand up. One more time. So that's 3. No, 1, 2. All right, 4. We'll do it 4.
Constantly. And they're known as the Iron family because of their resilience. And the energy workers, not just in Kyiv, but in every city in Ukraine, places like Kharkiv, Chernihiv, kind of have the same status now as just being absolute heroes. So it'll be fascinating to meet them and see what they have to say and how they keep the city going. And I imagine if there's an air alert while we arrive, they're going to duck and run from whatever they're doing because they're basically the number one target right now. Russia's trying to get this city to 0% energy. And right now, most stats say that 75% of energy generating sites are without power right now, have been either partially or fully destroyed. So
that's probably a great time to talk about the fundraiser that our friend and good buddy of the show, Philip Ittner, has been getting out and about. If anybody in the chat, the mods or anybody has the link to that generator fund or the site trying to get generators for people in Ukraine, then more than happy to share that in the chat. But obviously a good time here, poignant time to talk about the need for generators, the need for basically any assistance that that we could send over, any assistance, any donation, any fundraiser that goes towards generators, or again, anything, food drives, canned food, whatever it may be that could help people in the situation right now, then, more than happy to promote, more than happy to take a look at and, make sure that we can highlight those certain things on there. So again, if anybody in the chat, any mods or anything like that have the, I think Mark, I don't know if Mark's in the chat, but I think Mark would have it. If not, we'll find it and we'll put it on the screen when we get it. I appreciate you guys.
These last places that supply energy are critical. They're the last lifeblood keeping the city going. So it'll be fascinating seeing this.
Саме цей об'єкт в цьому році атакувався, здається, більше 4 разів уже. І балістичними ракетами, і крилатими, і шахедами. Вони просто хочуть зламати людей. Вони бачать, що війна не йде на їхню користь, як вони собі думали. І думали, якщо вони людей заморозять, заберуть у них якийсь комфорт, що люди стануть на коліна і будуть просити їх, щоб вони перестали це, змінять що люди підуть проти нашої влади і так далі. Ні, цього не буде, тому що...
Okay. Знаєте, я виїхав з Маріуполя, і тут в мене дуже багато мотивацій дожити до кінця війни хоча б і побачити, коли буде наша перемога. Отака в мене мотивація. Енергія завжди потрібна для моєї країни, це завжди. А на цей час, то це просто, тут навіть мову не про що вести. Це, не знаю, це вищого.
That's why I always like this thing here. Oh, hopefully that doesn't fall. Now I'm knocking everything over. Stay. You stay there. Okay, don't stay there. I'm going to get this off if I can without breaking anything. Come on, you prick. Stay. 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 Okay, that'll stay there. That's why I like this. Unfortunately, I do have to do the old translate app to translate it every time because I'm not proficient in Ukrainian just yet. But let me see here. I can read you a little bit of what this says. Because again, I was kind of hold this near and dear. Let me see. Where's the old train? There you are. There you are. I'm going to do the camera. Give me a second. Take a picture of it. So this reads, and I don't know if you can see it. I'm sure it's a little hard to read. I tried. My name's kind of blocked out there. Trying not to give the whole name, but you know. Anyway, it says, "Thank you very much for your personal contribution to providing humanitarian assistance in the form of a fire engine to the Kramatorsk City territorial community, which will significantly strengthen our ability to respond promptly to fires and the other emergencies, especially in this difficult time for Ukraine. Your support is invaluable. Your good heart makes the world a better place. We wish you good health, well-being, and exhaustible energy for good deeds. Head of the Kramatorsk City Military Administration, signed Alexander Gonocharenko." So again, just something I found pretty cool that they gave out to the people that were on the humanitarian aid mission that I went on to show their little show of support, to make sure that people knew that they were, you know, appreciated for what they were doing and going over there and showing their, you know, ability to, you know, to lend a hand, you know what I mean? So, you know, it's stuff like that, you know, really kind of hits home and makes it, you know, what I'm talking about is what's going on screen here, talking about the importance of them getting energy to their people and what keeps them motivated and what keeps them going. And again, the outside help of different countries and different people and different communities really goes a long way in boosting their spirits as well and keeping them going, knowing that they're not alone as they feel and as fucking slighted as they feel by the United States and you know what this government has or hasn't done more like it in this war. But you know what I mean, the people going over there and the show of support and these fundraisers and delivering trucks and delivering generators, like it does a lot. It's like fucking you know, it's like, you know, what's I don't know, an inappropriate kind of, I don't want to diminish the aspects of it by not giving it the appropriate kind of comparison. So I'll leave that one, but it's very helpful. It goes a long way in again, boosting the spirits of the people and showing them that there's a reason to continue to fight that stretches beyond not only their citizens and their brethren and their country and their homeland, but also throughout the world in defending democracy and making sure that Putin and Russia can't, you know, spread their evil, can't spread their wickedness. So again, it's things like this that go a long way in showing you kind of why we fight.
Питання, хто вороже, вже не може бути, тому що від енергії залежить все остальне. Робота буквально всіх підприємств, життя людей залежить. Просто без енергії, ну як? Ви не зможете. Тиждень без води і 45 днів без їжі. Так само і ми без енергії, ми не зможемо вижити.
От в мене 3 дітей, вдома сидять без світла, без тепла, тому це життєва необхідність. Ну, це як для мене, як для них, як для всього міста, для всієї країни. Тобто тут допомагаємо, як можемо, війську і всім. Це наш дім, ми його захищаємо таким чином. Зараз вони користуються.
And I wish I had more time to dive into this and watch the whole thing, but you know, I really appreciate well, you can really appreciate what they're going through by watching, you know, different videos like this and what United 24 has been doing, you know, different other communities as well. different channels and really getting down to the heart of the matter and getting to see what they're living through on a daily basis under these attacks and without power, without running water, without heat, for this length of time as we continue on, 4 years later into this fucking war. It just, we have to stay grounded and stay based in reality and stay understanding what's happening on the ground and not forget about it and not lose sight of, the goal, not lose sight of what's important as the instances and situations are going on inside of our own country. We should be able to walk and chew gum at the same time. And, speaking of what's been taking place on the front lines, just for the last kind of 15 minutes of tonight's broadcast, I really do appreciate you guys. I just want to dive into a couple aspects of what's taking place on the front because, like I said, Ukraine has been kind of changing tactics and learning from, again, what seemingly has come from the change in tactics on the Russian side, as opposed to these large-scale assaults and the large-scale armored assaults on these different, strongholds. Basically, what they're doing is they're putting together these 4, 5, 6, 7-man squads, sending them across fields at night, hoping that a few of them make it through the minefields, make it through the drones, make it through the infantry, get into a position where they could hunker down, and then wait for other reinforcements that, again, sometimes take days, weeks, sometimes even months to get enough people in there where they could have sufficient force to go and either make attacks or, again, draw in artillery fire onto different areas and targets where they could see from their vantage point, wherever they may be. But now Ukraine is kind of using similar tactics, and instead of the bigger assaults they're really taking a page out of the Russians' book and using these smaller attack groups to go in and eliminate these other attack groups sent in by the Russians. So again, this is Preston Stewart, just kind of giving us an update on Ukraine's deadly new tactic. So I appreciate you guys once again. Hit that like button. I'm Boston Brian. This is the Blunt Politics Podcast, and we are here to support and appreciate the people of Ukraine, the Ukrainian military, and the hard work and the fighting that they've been doing and the ability that they've had to kind of keep their fucking country to this point. So let's go.
So Ukraine has put together a number of search and destroy units who are methodically hunting down and eliminating Russian soldiers who thought they'd broken through. Now, Maxim Tucker in The Times put together an article a few days ago titled "The Battle for Kupiansk: Inside Ukraine's Victory Against the Odds." And in this, he lays out this new tactic, this new type of formation that Ukraine is utilizing to pretty good effect in a couple different areas of the battlefield. In this, he quotes Colonel Sergei Sidorin, the commander of the Kupiansk Search and Destroy Task Force that he says was created in secret this past September. The colonel says his forces did not have the numbers to overpower the Russians. Instead, they decided to adapt and improve on the infiltration tactics employed by the enemy. So infiltration tactics, this is something that we've seen utilized by the Russian military over the course of at least the last year, pretty successfully in a lot of areas of the front. So what we generally see with a military offensive is a lot of firepower, a lot of manpower moving forward in a consolidated manner. Combined arms warfare, right? Airstrikes and artillery, followed by maneuver elements, tanks, armored personnel carriers, or maybe even dismounted infantry. That has become a suicide mission in this war. We've got video after video after video showing what these large armored assaults look like as they try to traverse.
And again, this is how drone warfare is changing the battlefield on literally a daily basis, if not, a minute by minute basis, where it is just not sufficient anymore. It is just not, applicable to go in there with a large force that is clearly seen from miles away, that could be fucking attacked with any amount of cheap FPV drones and could be taken out before they even get anywhere near their fucking destination or their goal. Right. So this other aspect, the other technique in the way that drone warfare is changing it is now making it so these people are going in. And again, these smaller groups trying to not be seen, trying to not be heard. And again, trying to do that over and over again until they have a sufficient group in there to cause some damage or create havoc or do whatever their goals or intentions are.
A 20 to 40 kilometer kill zone that is covered with mines, overwatched by Ukrainian artillery, and constantly scanned by Ukrainian drones. I mean, Russia still tries that from time to time, but the results are pretty expected. What we have seen in place of this is Russia has started pushing small groups of dismounted infantry forward. A lot of times they'll move forward maybe to a degree in an armored personnel carrier. We've seen the use.
And this isn't the best example that Preston's using here because this is the video that we covered the other day where a lot of these guys, if not every single guy you're looking at right now in the back of this Russian truck, their heart beats for the last time on this day. Let's just say they don't make it very far away from the vehicle. The vehicle does make it to where they have to dismount, but after that, their body parts get dismounted, if you know what I mean. But just not the best case that they're showing here as far as the Russian tactics being successful. That's all.
Of pickup trucks, motorcycles, ATVs, even horses at times, though I think the horses were more a little behind the lines, not necessarily used in assault. Either way, trying to get these Russian soldiers within, say, 10 kilometers of the zero line, the front line of contact. And from there, they are guided by their drones overhead to move forward and try to infiltrate through the Ukrainian lines, which isn't all that hard in terms of finding a gap. I mean, it's hard to find a gap that's not overwatched by drones or not seen in some way, shape, or form. Not all that hard to find a gap where Ukrainian soldiers are not physically present. They just have not been doing that along the front for a long time, and they've opted to rely on more reconnaissance from these drones. There are blind spots. There are seams between units that can and have been exploited. I think the best example of this.
And they're just probing, you know what I mean? They're just probing for these different areas in which they can send these small groups of 5, 6, 7 different soldiers through. If they can continuously exploit one different area or avenue or, path through the woods, they will continue to do so until that's kind of blocked up or, figured out by the Ukrainian military that there was this kind of, open area that they weren't covering, whatever it may be. And then they'll go and probe and exploit and try to get into different areas to try to bypass that. But in these small groups, not the large groups, as you heard, they're getting dropped, some 5-10 clicks away from the zero line, and then they're hoofing it in there and basically getting led in by their drones to a certain position, and then they're being like, okay, fucking have at it, you're on your own, this is as far as we can take you, good luck, call us if you make it, and we'll see if we can send you a couple more people. That's basically, they get enough. They're just, again, it's this like human meat grinder aspect where it's like throw as many people into it in these smaller groups, these smaller tactics all over the front to see where we can penetrate and fuck our losses. I don't care how many we lose, as long as we can establish some little pinpoint, some little place in which we can get a couple troops through. As long as we've done that, the losses are worth it.
Over the course of the last year was just northeast of Pokrovsk, where Russian soldiers during the course of a month or two broke through a pretty good distance, 19, 20 plus kilometers in the Dobropilia direction. And what Russia is doing is they send small groups forward, 2, 3,
well, I
4.
mean, going on that aspect, because he's talking about what the map looks like, and there's a big discrepancy that I'm seeing in what these maps are showing. Here's the Syriac map. And again, this is more, I don't know if it's purposefully done or whatnot. I don't know really the details behind Syriac and the company and where they get their information from. But this is kind of more in line in what the Russians are trying to kind of establish as a reality, as opposed to, and let me get out of your way so you can see it. As you can see here on the screen, we're looking at the Pokrovsk area. Here's Pokrovsk here. But this is kind of detailing that the whole of Pokrovsk has been overtaken. As you can see here, Mirnored at the same time is completely and firmly in Russian-held hands, as you can see by the Syriac map. But if you look over here at the deep state map, it seems to show a different reality, right? Because here's Pokrovsk. We can go into Pokrovsk. And again, not to say that a large extent, the majority of it isn't still being shown in Russian hands, but this large plot here not being shown on the Syriac map as being gray or being fought over as it would be detailed in this map here. The same thing with Mirnored. Like, it's definitely to a large extent taken over, but you can still see here, this large gray area, which is supposed to be a contested area, not overtaken. So from what I'm hearing from different people in their reports, it seems like that the deep state map is more along the lines of what we're seeing on the ground as far as, what reality shows. So not so much the Syriac map. That seems to be a little optimistic as far as on the side of the Russians. But, just to give you guys an update as what the front lines look like. I know we haven't kind of dove into it in a while as far as what the, where the lines have been drawn and how they've moved. But, you can see over the last few days how these have kind of changed. Let me go back here. This is, starting from January 27th. You can see no progress, no progress, no progress, and then a little bit of progress, and then a little bit of progress, and that's pretty much it. Over the last, say, week or two, not much happening. You know what I mean? Little areas being disputed over, but nothing major. You can see the slow progress that the Russians have, but the numbers of people that they're losing is still fucking exponential. Like, it is still increasing. It's still crazy. So good to see that the Ukrainians still have the ability to kind of change their tactics as the Russians kind of try and test out different maneuvers and different abilities, different positions on the battlefield, and try to get their kind of forces through in different areas in different ways. So, it's really good to see that, they're kind of changing with the times. They've kind of been right on top of this aspect as far as kind of not only changing in accordance to what Russia is doing, but leading the advancements as far as drone war, different technologies, fucking, jammers and stuff like that. Like, they've been really on the forefront of changing the battlefield. And, this is just another large aspect to kind of show how the details and how the techniques and how the tactics are changing per what's taking place by the other side. So again, good thing to see. We appreciate it. I always want to make sure that we're covering what's going on in Ukraine, to make sure that we're not, putting it on the back burner or forgetting about it to any stretch of the imagination. It's just been a crazy few days here in the United States per the Epstein file release, and the nonsense that's been coming from the right, and, the bullshit and the propaganda. And again, the DOJ seemingly saying that there's nothing that they can do, there's no further action to be taken, and that we're just absolutely not going to see justice and accountability at all while Donald Trump's in office, and while he has control and has his people leading the DOJ, FBI, in these different 3-letter agencies. So, it sucks to see, but again, that's just kind of what we're going off of, what Todd Blanche has said. So what do you say we get into thanking some people, and I'll get you guys out of here for the night. I really do appreciate you guys. Another great show, but I'm biased. I always think it's a great show. And again, my apologies. My apologies in the chat. Right hand up accountability. Right hand up accountability. Human. My apologies. Don't think I forgot. Don't think I forgot. But I appreciate you guys. Let's see if we can check out some of the people that were kind enough to donate. Garrett, I really do appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. Your love for democracy. No, it's your love for democracy that really keeps me going. Everybody in the chat that shows up, every show, that's what keeps me coming back and wanting to do this. So Garrett, very much appreciated for your contribution. Peter as well. Thank you, Peter. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for your Venmo. That's amazing. Good work, Boston Brian, says Peter. I really do appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you to Linda. Very much appreciate you and your contribution as well. Linda says, my daily dose of news. Thank you, Linda. Appreciate you. Good to see you. Glad to have you in the chat as always. Shout out to you. Shout out to Jenny Faye, Thomas, Roxanne, Claudia, everybody from the last few days, Laurie, Yakov, thank you so much. V, thank you so much to Damon, Jeffrey, Jesus, and all of you fabulous and fine people. Let's see here if anybody was kind enough to get into the tubes of you. Oh, thank you, Carol. Very much appreciate that. Big night for Carol. Happy hump day, lovely ones. Appreciate you. Thank you for the $5. Shout out to you. And then this amazing contribution. Very much appreciate that. The $50 fucking super chat, just huge. Very much appreciated. Such a lovely fucking gesture to help the show. So thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching, and very much thank you for contributing. So thank you to Candy as well. Shout out to you. You snort laughter. I always do. I always fucking do. I don't know. I can't stop it. I don't know how to stop it. Some people only do it when they laugh hard. See me? Anytime I laugh, it's just the snort's coming at some point. It just happens. But Candy, thank you so much, not only for being here, but for your obvious and generous contributions. Very much appreciated. JD, as always, for the SAS bonus. Well, that's going in the swear jar. I don't have a SAS jar just yet. And again, my apologies in the chat. And thank you to How to Live with a Smile. How to live with her smile. How to live with a smile. Why was that so difficult for me to put together? I don't know. But How to Live with a Smile, thank you so much for the one gifted membership. Very much appreciate that. Make sure we're reaching out to How to Live with a Smile and thanking them for their gifted membership. Thank you to Nola for the 20. Give to Ukraine, please. I will donate that right in time. Right after the show, I'll put that into the Help 99 fund on your behalf, Nola. Thank you so much for everything that you do. Very much appreciated. Thank you, Everett, as well. Foxtrot Delta Taco right behind you. I second that. And thank you for being here for 1 year. Let's go, Everett. thank you so much for that loyalty. Thank you so much for being here for 12 months. Very much appreciated, my dude. Congratulations. And thank you to Jim. Best chat on the tube. I very second that. It's late. I'm tired. I'm sorry. I do apologize. But yes, I very much second that, Jim. I very much appreciate you and your contributions to the chat. The best chat, that is. So thank you, guys. I'm going to let you go for this evening. Make sure you're out there supporting other independent creators. If not tonight, tomorrow. And if it's not me that brings you the most bang for your buck, make sure you're supporting the creator that does, the channel that does, the news agency that does, whatever it is. Make sure you're supporting them, because it's important that we have the most voices at this time where it's very necessary to speak up. So I appreciate you guys. Make sure you're staying safe. Make sure you're staying aggressive. Keep your head in a swivel out there. Make sure you're staying safe. Make sure you got some friends, family, loved ones to keep you safe out there. Keep your exits within fucking reach. You know what I mean? Make sure you know how you get out there, and make sure you know how to get out of there if you're out on the streets protesting. So I appreciate you guys. I'll see you tomorrow for the Thursday show, 2 p.m. here on the East Coast. That's 11 a.m. on the West Coast. Make sure you hit that like button on the way out for me. I'm Boston Brian. This has been the Blunt Politics Podcast. And again, I'll see you tomorrow. Hit the button. Subscribe. I don't know how you guys watch, but don't subscribe. You're always coming back. You're always engaging. You're always very nice, but just somehow you're not subscribed. Hit that subscribe button. I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks, guys. Very much appreciated. Thanks, mods. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for being there and keeping that chat a safe place, as always. Very much appreciate it. And to the best chat on earth, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Appreciate you guys. Later. Thank you so much, Jeff. Thank you. Very much appreciate that. Sorry to hear that, Victor. Sorry to hear that. If there's anything I can do, if I can be of any assistance whatsoever in any way that would help you guys out, please let me know. Don't hesitate to reach out to me, email, or DM, or get in touch with me, Victor, at any point, please. I'm more than happy to repay the favor that you guys have shown me. If I can do anything to help, please let me know. Thanks, Bob. Love you, big guy. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Everett. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Adam. Good night, brother. See you guys tomorrow. Maybe I won't see you guys tomorrow. I thought I was going to see you tomorrow, but I really wanted to see you again tonight, and I just wanted to make sure that I said I appreciate you. That's why I came in. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't a mistake. I totally meant to come back this time because I hate leaving you guys. I do. Oh, one of these days we'll get it right, bro. One of these days we'll get it right. Well, I appreciate you. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you. Bye. Dork.
God bless the United States.
when you ran out the healthy arms, you ran out of really healthy. They had great arms, but they ran out. It's called sports. It's called baseball in particular, and pitchers, I guess you could say, in really particular. Nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen. Somebody said, "Is that a Trump statement or is that real?" It's a new form of vicious violation to our country. Yesterday, the hard word for me. You'll have a group of Venezuelan killers, street gangs, occupying the town with MK-47s. I know that gun very well. I got that. I've become an expert on guns. Never fight uphill, me boys. Never fight uphill. They were fighting uphill. He said, wow, that was a big mistake. He lost his great general. And they were fighting. Never fight uphill, me boys. But it was too late.
He says rectum damn near killed him.
I'm standing up here bashing the living shit out of Nazis.
I say mud, I said crud. You fall into some crud or something?
Army manned the air. It ran the ramparts. It took over the airports. It did everything it had to do. You're a nation that just recently heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat your... Our army manned the air. It ran the ramparts. It took over the airports. It did everything it had to do. Refer to my hands. If they're small, something else must be small.
Hey, you got a little chubby going there.
What uranium is, right? This thing called nuclear weapons and other things. Like lots of things are done with uranium, including some bad things.
Bad news, bad news. Even when it's good news, it's bad news.
Where you going? Nowhere.
Go fuck yourself.
This guy's been drunk all day.
Oh, get those lights off! Off! Turn them off. They're too bright. Turn them off.